344-499-1000. You can tweet at TalkTV and at the James Max if you want to get involved in the conversation. Meanwhile, somebody who I do hope is awake, he probably is. He's probably frothing already. He must be frothing. It's Dr. Roger Givolvi, CEO of Fair Money, personal finance and credit expert. Roger, good morning.
Good morning, James.
Just on the frothometer, where are we between 1 and 10?
About 8, I would say, this morning.
Okay, frothtastic. Okay, interest rate relief. I think a lot of people looking at interest rates going up and wondering what the heck's going on. The thing is that if America puts up its rates, then if we don't want to have a tumbling pound, then we kind of have to follow suit, don't we?
Well, how's that working out? I mean, you know...
We're at 114. I mean, when Liz Truss came to power, Dan, it crashed to 103.
Well, I know, but, 150, 160 is what people are used to.
Yes.
So it's been a heck of a fall. Look, I mean, here's a thought, James. A lot of people last night and this morning are actually talking about the fact that they are hoping that Elon Musk would offer a free SpaceX trip to Andrew Bailey and his colleagues at the Bank of England to the moon, or maybe send him with Matt Hancock to the Australian outback. Because really, I mean, they are slavishly following the states.
You're not happy with the governor of the Bank of England, are you?
Well, I mean, I just think that we're now going to have our 8th rise in a year. Has it protected the pound against the dollar? No, absolutely not. Has it reduced inflation? No, absolutely not. It's cost push inflation. It's not the kind of inflation that gets protected by raising interest rates.
But, and you see, I think that's a really important point. And I've always taken the view, like you, Roger, that inflation that is pushed by excess demand. So if we're all wanting more stuff, and that's pushing up inflation because we don't have enough people, because various other things are going on, then that's when interest rates come to the fore.
Absolutely.
But when you've got an economy that is being driven by a shock, and the shock is rising fuel prices and energy prices because of the war in Ukraine and elsewhere, so it's an existential matter, it's out of our control, then I wonder what the heck we're doing. And putting up interest rates is just like self-harm.
Well, the reason for the moon rocket is that exactly this happened in 2009, as I'm sure you recall, and the Bank of England left interest rates at 0.5% for 3 years until the inflation petered out. Now, the good news, because whenever I froth, I like to have good news with it. The good news is that paradoxically, at the same time as the Fed, the Federal Reserve in the States, is announcing this, has announced this rise, and we're going to have a rise here. The pundits on Wall Street are saying that interest rate rises in the States are going to cease, or at least suffer, have a real diminution, have a real drop, because they are knocking inflation on the head. And J.P. Morgan, no less, has said that inflation is going to peter out. So hopefully, as misguided as we may think the Bank of England is to, now they're talking about crashing the property market here, when we really don't need that.
Well, we really don't. There is a report by the Nationwide to indicate that property prices could fall by 30%, although I have to say that pretty much every prediction by such organizations tends to be wrong.
Okay, but whatever. Hopefully now this interest rate rise succession will come to an end, because if the states stops jerking up their interest rates and announces that inflation is petering out, the same should happen here.
Okay, did you just say, hey, whatever, to one of my comments? Unbelievable. Okay, let's talk...
Did I? Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's just, go and have a look back later. Yeah,
okay.
Here am I making a profound comment, and you just go, hey, whatever.
Oh my God,
it's
how banal.
That's exactly. Well, listen, many people are thinking that when I speak. Roger, let's talk about a hole in the government finances, shall we? How big is it?
Analysts differ. They say it's 30 billion, 40 billion, 50 billion, 60 billion. But the one thing they all agree on is that it was 70 billion following Apocalypse Now and Kamikwaze's disastrous mini budget. Since the international financial markets have stopped dumping UK PLC as an investment, the black hole has decreased. But a lot of experts, starting with people like John Penrose, the MP who invented the energy price cap, and who, by the way, now says it's unfit for purpose, are saying that there is no black hole because we are paying far too much for our electricity. Now, 2/3 of our home energy bill, yours and mine, is electricity. And apparently, the experts say 80% of that 2/3 is completely unrelated to gas. And yet our electricity is priced off the international market for gas.
Exactly, something that we've been saying on this show for a while. Now, we've only got less than a minute left, and I want to talk about your view of whether Rishi Sunak is too rich.
Well, it's a question of whether somebody who's richer than and has more homes than, he's the first prime minister to be richer than and have more homes than his king. And, you know, obviously a man who possibly pays his children allowances in Bitcoin, can he really relate to the average Brit, or even more so, the struggling Brit at this moment? Rishi Sunak looks to me like somebody who's got a lot of heart and somebody who can empathize with people. But, you know, I've spoken about this before. If you haven't been there, you don't really understand it.
Well, so, I don't know. Maybe on the other hand, he's having a bit of a rough time. So he recognises that maybe he's got to take some action. Roger, we are out of time, but thank you very much indeed, as always, for a frostastic report on our personal finances. That's Dr. Roger Gievold, CEO of Fair Money, personal finance and credit expert. Right, we turn our attention to the